I don't like Hitscan. And I'm not talking about in general, entire video games are Hitscan. Doesn't mean I dislike the entire game. No, I'm talking about a very specific form of hitscan. We'll call it the Soldier 76 type of hitscan, or more often referred to as tracking. Whenever presented with the choice, I will most of the time pick a projectile based character, or if it's hitscan, I'll go for a single shot or close range. As a kid, I've always been obsessed with the idea of optimization, being as efficient as I possibly can with a certain something. This of course bled into the way I approach video games. Being a controller player, I quickly found out that people on a mouse and keyboard were better at aiming overall than controller players. If I would end up in a mid-range soldier 1v1 against a mouse and keyboard player, he'd probably kill me more than I would him. Thumbs versus wrists. It's not rocket science. The idea of this made me less interested in aim-reliant characters and more so in projectile-based characters. If aim is not the deciding factor, I could be better than anyone in the world. At least that's what I thought. Projectiles are never guaranteed to hit. Even if you lined it up perfectly, the person you shot at could just swap direction during the travel time. But in a way, that was the exact thing that made it so interesting to me. Being limited by the mechanic intrigues me even more. I want to dive into why that is. To figure that out, we need to dive into a few important things. In the game Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, there's a single character which broke the entirety of the game. His name is Steve. Steve is the strongest character in the game. Steve has more options than whosoever in the game. His strength lies in his versatility, which is his ability to place a block in the sky, a move exclusive to him which he can use to do infinite things from mid-air. On top of a bunch of nonsensical stuff, we've got ourselves the strongest. But it is also in this versatility that he would never appeal to me. Having multiple answers for every situation subtracts from the depth the character could have. My favorite thing is to make ends meet with scarce options, needing to, mix up your playstyle. It is in the limitations of one's kit that the player truly gets to express themselves. For a long time, two of my mains were Dr. Mario and Ganondorf. They are bad characters, but it is this thing that made me fall in love with them. The low movement speed, low combo potential, bad recoveries. To make things work, you really need to use every part of their kits. And for characters on the top of the mountain, the usage of their kits is more of a suggestion. You could do it like this, or this, or this, till infinitum. I think the main thing this made me realize was the absolute amount of distance between me and the optimal usage of a character. And me being a perfectionist at the time could not live with that. So while I had some top tiers I played, I got pretty decent at, they weren't the characters I connected to most. The problem regarding the boredom of hitscan presents itself more prominently in long range engagements. That is where you will find the biggest difference in gameplay. If you are inside the enemy you're shooting at, it doesn't matter whether or not the bullet has travel time, you just shoot. A lot of the time you'll find that hitscan guns or games need to be balanced artificially, like with damage falloff or bloom. The devs don't want the players to be able to melt enemies just as effectively no matter the range. Something you'll find is that damage falloff a lot of the time isn't implemented the same way on projectile based weapons, because the balancing is worked into the weapon and thus the kit. A character like Junkrat for example, he is the most lethal in tight spaces and up close, but he won't always be able to find those situations. He eats barriers for breakfast and if necessary, he could even shoot around them. Now if we take Soldier 76 for example, he is trying to be at around mid-range with LOS on the enemies. If he finds himself in this position, he only needs to hit his shots. The point I'm trying to make is that hitting your shots isn't that compelling. The more obvious a character's strengths and weaknesses, the more potential they have for a fun kit. Let's compare Soldier to Tracer. Tracer wants to be up close and has some of the highest burst potential in the game. To offset this weakness, they gave her the smallest health pool in the game, and her abilities are all concerned with getting her from place to place and in and out of trouble. Her weaknesses and strengths are easy to identify and thus makes her a fun character not only to play but also against. If we take the most extreme example we can find in Overwatch, obviously we arrive at Widowmaker. Counterplay against Widowmaker is basically put something in between her and you. A Widowmaker that can consistently hit shots is basically Thanos. Aim is an independent factor. Your aim and understanding of the game have pretty little to do with each other. Rhyme mains will consistently have the worst aim you've ever seen, but also are the most situationally aware players on the field. Whilst that might be fully anecdotal, rewarding a player so much for having good aim, where they can just delete everyone in their line of sight, is a bit ridiculous and tedious to play against. It disrupts the entire experience and doesn't ask for any teamwork for the lucky team with the good widow. Me holding this standpoint, you would probably think I don't like aiming. But that's not the case. It's more about the context in which I'm aiming and the thing I'm trying to do. If both of these things are done well, I'm having fun. Pushing is fun, confrontation is fun. So if the character's kit incentivizes me to be up close, that means the kit wants me to have fun. Whilst being up close, there will be more severe things you'll need to worry about. You will have to make bigger adjustments to your aim, making it more challenging and dynamic. Being up close in and of itself is a more lethal position, which asks you to be more aware of the threats posed. You not having the sufficient amount of ammo could lead to you not being able to get an important kill, leading you to die. Same thing could be said for abilities, though if you are at longer ranges, messing up will be less likely to result in direct death. Now if you take a look at optimizing soldiers gameplay, there is a real high skill ceiling, but you got most of it filled if you just hit your shots. Really, like you are 90% there if you hit every shot. His ultimate ability is literally dead, aimbot. So in that, stripping aiming from him removes him from the game. And Soldier is an excellently designed character, he just excels at the most uncompelling facet in gaming. Simple and deep design makes it easily clear what you want to be doing, but hard to be as effective as possible. I'm highly biased towards tanks if we're talking Overwatch, but let's take Reinhardt. His kit consists of a hammer, a big piercing range attack, a shield, and a high damage pin. He also has a big health pool. It's perfectly obvious what you are trying to do, and the same goes for Soldier, but now the question is the thing you're trying to do fun? Ryan yes, Soldier no.